Yes, and after 3 hours to save the environment, so let us have a look on what is the need for the management of natural resources. Why we have to manage these natural resources first of all. Let us have a look. All the things we use and consume are obtained from natural resources, right? Due to increase in population, industrialization, and urbanization, the demand for natural resources is increasing, and their availability is limited. So, as you all know, urbanization has increased. What is meant by urbanization? Increase in towns and cities instead of living in villages, and the development is called urbanization. So, if we move to towns and cities, what does it happen? We of course utilize electricity. We of course utilize more water, and we of course do many things which is contrary to villages. In villages, of course, we will use somewhat limited resources, but when we come to towns and cities, we have to go accordingly. So because of increase in population, so before 10 years the population was 100 crores, and now the population is 130 crores. Because of the increase in population and also increase in urbanization, population is increasing, but the natural resources is quietly decreasing, and they are limited as well. They do not increase accordingly. So, how we have to utilize for our future generations or for this generation is the need of the hour. The proper management of natural resources consists of judicious use of natural resources and avoiding wastage of natural resources. Long term planning for the use of natural resources so that it lasts not only for the present but also for future generations. We have to should not waste these natural resources. Long term planning should be there so that it of course helps our future generations as well, not only it limits for this generation. The exploitation of natural resources should not be for the benefit of a few people, should be distributed equally. So the exploitation of natural resources, it should not take place. So it should be distributed equally for all sectors of the people, for all the people in all countries on the earth. It should not be limited to only one section of the people, right? While extracting and using natural resources, we should also plan for the safe disposal and avoid pollution so that no damage is caused to the environment. First one is you have to use judiciously. Second one is long term planning is there. Planning should be there for future generations. The exploitation should be avoided in order to contribute it equally or distribute equally to all the sectors of the people. While extracting and using natural resources, we should also plan for the safe disposable in order to avoid pollution. These four are the important steps for the need of the hour for the proper management of natural resources. Let us see forests. So, what are forests and what is the importance of forests? As you all know, forests help to preserve biodiversity. Forests are natural habitats of plants and animals. Forests provide timber, wood, fuel, medicines, fodder, etc. Forests help to maintain ecological balance. Forests help to control climate and rainfall. Forests help to prevent soil erosion and control floods. Forests help to maintain the oxygen carbon dioxide balance in nature. So these are the few important points of forests, as you might have studied from earlier classes. Forests help to maintain. First thing is ecological balance. It used to preserve biodiversity, as we have seen in our environment chapter, and they are natural habitats for plants and animals. So these are all we are all independent on each other. So that is what a habitat or an ecosystem is, right? Forests provide many useful products for human beings like timber, wood, fuel, medicines, fodder, etc. And it helps to prevent soil erosion, and they also control floods. Forests help to maintain the oxygen carbon dioxide balance in nature. Oxygen which we breathe and carbon dioxide which we breathe out, which will be taken by plants instead. First is forests are biodiversity hotspots. So biodiversity measured by number of species found there, range of different life forms present. So as you have seen many videos from the zoological park here, that is Deer Park in Vanasilpuram. There you might have seen biodiversity and number of species which you can see, like birds, snakes, animals, the number of species found, biodiversity, diverse organisms, diverse animals, diverse birds living in a particular habitat is known as biodiversity, and range of different life forms present. So what we should be the range, what is the number present at a particular place gives us the biodiversity. Conservation means preserve the biodiversity we have inherited. So you have to conserve that biodiversity instead of killing them, right? How we have to protect? Instead of deforestation, we have to plant the trees instead. That is called afforestation. That is how you will conserve the biodiversity. Loss of diversity may lead to loss of ecological stability. Ecological balance will be balance will be ecological balance will be missed. So there will be ecological imbalance, which will lead to loss of ecological stability. There will be no particular ecological stability at a particular place where biodiversity will be missed. Stakeholders of forests, people who are associated with forests directly or indirectly, or people living in and around forest depend on forest for their livelihood. Of course, you might have seen many tribes who lives in forests, and how do their life exists in forests, and how do they depend directly or indirectly on these products, forest products. Industrialize who uses the raw materials from forest for manufacturing paper, medicines, furniture. So these, what do these industrialists need? These raw materials. Paper comes from forest, of course. Medicines come from forest, and furniture is come from wood. Wood is nothing but plant. Forest department of the government who owns the forest and controls the reserve resources from the forest. Forest department will conserve these. Nature and wildlife organizations who wanted to conserve and preserve forests. There are many wildlife organizations as well. Like we have seen the recently the biodiversity which we have seen in this national deer park, and conservation of forests. First, we have to do is afforestation. We have to plant more and more trees. How our Telangana government have been doing now afforestation, preventing or reducing deforestation instead of cutting forests. Should be avoided. Preventing overgrazing by cattle. Cattle, because of overgrazing, what will happen? Soil erosion takes place. If there is a soil erosion, the topsoil will be eroded away, and there will be no fertility at that particular place. If there is no fertility of the soil, then there will be less forestation. By setting up wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, biosphere reserves, etc. So if you conserve forests or wildlife sanctuaries, so there will be more biodiversity at that particular place, so which will increase the biodiversity. Undertaking social forestry programs like One Mahotsav. So what is the importance of One Mahotsav? To plant more and more trees which will conserve our forests. Chipko movement for planting and protecting trees on a large scale. So this is a Chipko movement, One Mahotsav. This is called as Chipko movement. The down image is known as Chipko movement. So these are some of the steps for conservation of forests. So in this video, we have seen importance of forests and why we have to manage natural resources. How there are four steps involved, like judicious use of natural resources, long-term planning for future generations, and the exploitation of natural resources. And then while extracting, we should also plan to avoid the environmental pollution. We should not dispose of importance of forests we have seen, and then forests or biodiversity, how forests are to be conserved. All these steps we have seen here. In the next video, we shall learn few more points. Thank you.